What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Free China Post, the Free China Pod, Worker Wednesday. It's been a while since I did one of these, and so I thought I would hop on here and do a little one. I wanted to do a quick one, but then I realized there's a lot of stuff coming out that I want. I wanted to do one issue, but there's so many things regarding it that we might go a little long. We'll see. But as you can see, I have about 100 tabs open, which is about how I usually have like 3 of these Google windows open that look like this. But hey, that's how it goes. But this caught my eye. Recently, people talking about America facing down a possible population collapse. And it certainly looks that way. This is mostly due to declining fertility rates, increasing death rates, obviously with COVID-19, and also plummeting immigration rates, which people, as America has long propped up its population growth with immigration. Is some more anti-immigration people may feel this is a good thing, but it is likely a bad thing, I would actually say, even though I tend to be more agnostic on keeping population growth super high. But it is certain that if you can keep the right policies in terms of making sure that people have a livable wage and healthcare and these sorts of basic necessities meet, it is a good way to grow your economy. It works in a lot of places. So here's kind of what's happening. It's basically that we have, you can see here, so in blue we have births, so births are going down. And then you can also see deaths obviously going up. And this is just into 2021, not the total of like 1 million COVID deaths that we now have. And then you have international immigration also dropping off a cliff. Again, these are all very bad things if you want to keep your population growth high. And maybe Ari and I will talk about this because he's much more of a pro-growth guy than I am, though I think I tend to agree, especially in a place like America. It has been good. It has been good for America. In terms of the economy, which I obviously always argue that the economy, broadly speaking, doesn't really affect average Americans, but it has also been good for keeping us at the forefront of innovation, making sure that we have some of the most educated people. And I think things like offering free or 99% free university would also deal with a lot of these issues. But yeah, it's certainly one way to do it. So this is one thing that there's a little bit of mixed signaling on this, but a lot of people have talked about how basically there's no desire anymore. People just don't want to have kids. They're selfish. They're lazy. And that doesn't necessarily seem to be borne out by the data. Now, keep in mind, this is a little bit older data. I've got a couple different sets of data to give you a more holistic picture, hopefully. But this is Gallup data from 1993. And you can see most people have children. And most people, if they didn't have children, did want to have children. So we can look down here again. So have children, don't have but one Sunday, and then do not want to have children is only about 6%. Now that has grown a little bit. And there's also, we have to be careful when looking at this data because there's a difference between do not want to have children and do not plan to have children, which is something you'll see kind of conflated a lot, which there obviously is a difference if words mean things. So if we look here, if we're looking at this is basically among all adults age 45 plus, those with children, without children. Um, so, and this is basically how many they have. So this is the data that you'll see quite a bit. It starts to tailor off a little bit in some of the newer data, and we'll get to why some of that is later. But this is pretty much where it's been at, and to maintain population stability, you need at least 2. But America has generally been about between 2 and 3. If we go back to about 1950s, 60s, you'll see it actually more between 3 and 4. Now, there's a lot of reasons that changes. Obviously, most people, if you studied history or politics or any of these sorts of things, you know, partially that's because of just industrial and then deindustrialization, but modernization in general. When you move away, especially from agrarian societies, there's somewhat less need to have children. But yeah, there's a number of factors that go into it, and especially when it gets down below 2, there's a lot more factors that go into it. So this is, what do you think the number of ideal children is? Again, you go back to 1950s, 1960s, it's hovering closer to 4, between 3 and 4. Now, this is almost 10 years ago now, but it's about 2.6 there. Okay. And then these are the reasons basically not to have more children. And you can obviously see money. Money is the big one, and this is one thing that really hasn't changed. There are some other things that have changed, but again, you can see personal desire to have no children is pretty low. So this is a little bit newer data, 2018. These are some of the reasons, again, why people are not saying they want to have children. Now, this is obviously this was out of 100, so you get much clear numbers of picking just one, but here's basically the top results. Again, childcare too expensive. Want more time for children to have. This is, again, some often related to childcare and overwork as well. If we drop down to a 30-hour work week, or we paid some parents to stay home, or there's a number of ways to fix these issues that would allow people to have more children. And spend more time with them as well, which I don't know, maybe controversial, but I think that parents should spend a lot of time with their kids and hopefully raise them. Again, this one, childcare is too expensive. Worried about the economy. Number 2 could also be about money. Can't afford children. Financial instability, so they had children later. Yeah. More leisure time. Again, these can be solved without having less kids, if the government decided to work on it. So this is the newer data. This is from 2021. So this is people under 50 who say they are not likely to have children. Again, this is not likely to have, not undesiring. But yeah, you can see it's a few percentage points less here. So this is about what they would like to have. Okay, so I guess for anyone that's just listening on the audio, when I suggest you go, I always say this: go watch on the YouTube, because especially with this one, there's a lot of statistics that I'm rolling through really quick. But the percentage of very likely of people that say they are likely to have children someday, very likely is 26. That's down from 32 before. Somewhat likely 29, stayed the same. Not too likely jumped up from 16 in 2018 to in 2021 jumped up to 21, and not likely at all 23 and 21. So that's an increase of 2% from 2018 to 2021. So those are non-parents. Parents, basically, that they're going to have more children. It's less, obviously, because they already have some children, and we saw all the reasons earlier that it's already hard to care for the children they have. But you move down from 12 to 11 for very likely to have more children, 16 to 14 down again from somewhat likely, not too likely, stayed the same at 20%, and you got a 3% jump, not at all likely to have more children for these current parents. Obviously, we don't know how many they had, and again, a lot of these percentages are essentially within the margin of error. I believe I have the data here. Yes. So, yeah, basically, so you have a response rate of 85%, and response rate for accounting non-responses attrition is about 3%. Is 3%. The break-off among panelists. This is a good study, though. You can see that there were over 11,000 people polled, and you have full sample size of 9,676. So this is quite a big study, and the margin of error is 1.6 plus or minus. So, I guess most of these are actually are outside the margin of error, but it's some of them are close. But you get the idea. It seems to be going down. This is something that has changed, is non-parents 18 to 49 who say it's not too likely or at all likely they have children. So this is saying 56%, so they just don't want to have children, and 43% some other reason. Now, some other reason, medical was first at 19%, financial 17%, no partner 15%, which obviously could change. That could change super quickly. So I think that's a little bit of an interesting answer. State of the world 9%, climate change, environment. I feel like that's the same as it's like part of state of the world. Partner doesn't want kids 2%. So this, I would say, a lot of these again are subject to change. Basically, you did Medicare for all and you gave people a living wage. You drop out a huge chunk of this already. This 56%, I'm interested about this. I would like to see more data breaking this down. And then you can see, obviously, it's quite similar. It's a little bit more. So we saw 56% that don't want to have children that don't have children already. The ones that do have children is 63. Obviously, that number is going to be a little bit higher because they already have children. So maybe they have the desired number. Maybe they have 3, 4, 5 children. It's possible. We don't necessarily know who these people are and how many children they have. But then the reasons are a little bit different. Age, medical reasons, but still fiscal issues are still 14% in this one, and they were 17% in the other one. So even people that already have children, obviously finances is preventing them from having kids that they want to have. So that could theoretically, depending on how many kids they want to have, fix it up right there. I'll try to put all these links in the notes for you guys if you want to check them out. But I'll show you guys some of the reasons why people don't want to have kids in the United States. We talked about it's fiscal reasons, right? So these are some of the worst places to raise children according to various statistics. So this is the most expensive countries to raise children, and now you can see America is not the top in this. You have UK, New Zealand, Ireland, and then the United States is number 4 in this. Okay, so this is the net percentage of family income spent on full-time child care. And these are from OECD countries. So the United Kingdom is quite high with 33%. Though you also have to remember that the United States has no guaranteed healthcare system. The UK has one of the best universal healthcare systems in the world when you look at rankings. So this is it gets very hard to parse some of these things. But yeah, childcare should be heavily subsidized, if not, I would say just nationalized and totally free for people that need it. So this is the 5 best and 5 worst countries to to raise kids in. So you have the 5 best, which are Sweden, Luxembourg, Norway, Iceland, Denmark. And then the 5 worst, which is here you have number 1 United States, then Australia, New Zealand, Chile, South Korea. Now you can see why this is because the United States. Now some of these, you should also note that some of these are missing data, so they excluded some of these countries. But you can see the reasons. Net child care cost, U.S. So this is 31.79%, and these numbers are actually newer than these. This is 2016 data, I think, the one I was just talking about for the expensive. Yeah, this is from 2016. And this article is from 2021. 2020, okay. So then for the United States, so this is family benefits. This is public spending. The first one was percentage of household income towards net child care costs. So that's a lot. 31.79% is a lot. Public spending on family benefits. So this is child care support and tax credits by percent of GDP. The United States 0.64, which is incredibly low. It's the lowest one on this whole list, I think. At least the ones they show. Super low, terrible. Private spending on education. So this is from elementary through college as percentage of GDP. Again, America is the second lowest on this list, or excuse me, the second highest on this list, which is what you want because you don't want private spending, you want public spending on it. Yeah, America is the third highest on this list, I should say. They're at 1.98%, whereas lower would be New Zealand, which is 1.61, and South Korea, which is 1.67. Those two are lower. But this is, I mean, we don't have any nationalized, basically pre-K, first of all, but also, yeah, college is incredibly expensive in the United States. Out-of-pocket healthcare spending, this is obviously one of the worst for the United States, which it is the worst on this list, which is $1,150. These are all in U.S. dollars, by the way. It's, yeah, by far the highest on the list. The next highest is South Korea with $1,064, which out-of-pocket healthcare spending per capita. I mean, this could easily be solved by Medicare for All style system. Every other, like, quote-unquote developed country in the world basically does it. I live in a country right now, Taiwan, that has it. It's great. It's cheap. It's just cheaper than a privatized, excuse me, like a privatized system. So it's silly. And the last one is purchasing power index. So this is cost of living versus monthly income relative to the USA. Now, obviously, the USA is going to be high because it's the metric used for this. But anyway, yeah, the US does terrible on this. So yeah, again, I'll put this out here. You can see it. So here's I mentioned immigration earlier, and how immigration is down. Now, a lot of people may think there's a crisis at the border. We're letting in all the immigrants. This isn't the case. This data obviously only goes up to 2015, but I'll tell you that it's down since then. You can see the increases are keep going down, and obviously like I said, it's getting worse. Let me see if I can find. Oh, maybe I definitely included this, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. Anyway, I can tell you. Let's see. Immigration. Wow. U.S. 2021. Let's see. Let's look. Do we have the numbers somewhere? Oh man, some of these, so many of these websites are like, oh, see, this is another thing that people get you with is this immigrant population. So the immigrant population is um, higher than it's been, but the number of immigrants actually being allowed in the country is quite down. Are they not going to include? They're not going to like include it anywhere. Yeah, I would like to see. Uh, this is just like this is why it's like so hard to find this data sometimes is because they'll just put in like nonsense where you're trying to find. Okay, let's see. New immigrants to the U.S. 2021. Maybe we should look for 2022 data. Because again, look, immigrant population hits. This doesn't. So 1.5 million increase, I guess, is what it says here, which is, I don't know. That's also misleading. I feel like because it doesn't actually. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is international migration plummets last year. So here you go. In 2021, the U.S. saw its sharpest decline in international immigration in the last decade, and experts say it's the result of coronavirus epidemic. That obviously makes some sense. Data from the U.S. Census report was released at the end of the year and found that an estimated 245,000 people outside the country migrated to the U.S. in 2021, a nearly 50% decrease from last year. So you can look at these numbers. 2010, it's quite low. It does increase until Trump comes into office. But you can see under Biden, it's also not going up. Now, there was a number of Afghan refugees that came into the country when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, and there will probably be some Ukrainian refugees. But it is probably unlikely that those refugees will be here long term. The Afghans might be more likely to stay a little bit more long term, being that their country is dealing with obviously a Taliban rule now, and also very strict U.S. sanctions that are making it not very fun to live in that country anymore. And then you also but Ukrainians, I think, obviously it's going to depend on what happens as a result of the belligerent invasion by the Russians. But if the Ukrainians do hold on to the full control of their country, I think they will definitely be moving back. So those obviously won't be permanent immigrants, and we'll see how many actually come, because most of them are going to places like Poland or Moldova, one of the poorest countries in the region, who are they have this is just a little side story, but this is like my happy humanity story for the day. Moldovans are literally just like letting people live in their houses. The government set up a bunch of refugee housing areas to take care of these people and stuff, which is awesome. Like, that's wonderful. But people were like, no, you can't stay there. You have to stay in our houses. Like, come live with us. And they're like trying to help these people get like temporary jobs and stuff, send the kids to school. So it's in a horrible situation that's happening over in Ukraine. It is heartwarming to see the humanity of people. Like I said, it's not to say that like they have, it's the most destitute country in the world. But yeah, in the region, it's not one of the most well-off countries. It's one of the poorest in the region. So yeah, it's heartwarming to see these people just like, basically take the clothes off their backs and the food, share the food on their table with these people. Anyway, you can see we have a lot of declining migration. So obviously, you're gonna see a little bit of. So you see this, the coronavirus pandemic resulted in a sharp declines in international immigration into the U.S., Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, Connecticut, and Hawaii saw the greatest decreases. Okay, so you see these are the worst. You're also going to see Texas Um, Florida has a huge decrease. So there's quite a sharp decline. I wish I had better charts for y'all, but it is what it is. But this is part of the reason why immigrants are good. And first of all, I would like to say that I think it's just good to take people in, especially refugees. Like I was just saying, I think that's just the right thing to do. Now, there is certainly something to be said that there is so many crises happening all over the world. A lot of that unfortunately get ignored. That the U.S. obviously can't take everyone, but we can certainly take a lot more people with the amount of space that we have in the United States. It could certainly be done. It would be complicated. It would take a lot of planning and integration and things like this. But if we willed it, it could certainly be done, and I think it would greatly influence. But another reason, like I said, is that I kind of mentioned earlier, is that you have a lot of, and I'm not a big fan of startup companies, but if you're a big gung ho about the economy and new companies and innovation and things like that, innovation I think is good. Is that immigrants found nearly half of all startups, so you have that here. So again, more information about 7 of the 8 largest listed tech companies have founders and co-founders who are either first or second generation immigrants. You have a bunch of immigrant Nobel Prize winners, so it's about a third. So here it says immigrants have been awarded 38% or 40 out of 140 of the Nobel Prizes won by Americans in chemistry, medicine, physics since 2020. So I'm not of two minds about this, but I have to push back. I have to push back on both sides. Don't call me a centrist. But one, I have to push back on the fact that obviously what I'm doing right now is saying that obviously immigrants are good. So if you're anti-immigration, I think you may have been tricked into that for some reason. I think some people present good cases for why we should. There has to be limits. I think that's obviously true. I think as much as I'd like for everywhere in the world to have open borders, I don't think that that's a realistic policy in our current moment. Again, I think we could take far more immigrants than we're taking in the United States. I think that also goes for the current country I live in Taiwan. But that's part of the other point, is that I hear a lot of people say that the United States is very virulently anti-immigrant, and there are quite a few people that do try to demonize immigrants to score political points. That being said, the United States is one of the more friendly countries when it comes to immigration, and people may not like that, but that is the case of like immigration countries, and also the United States is an immigration country, which is different from places where I live, like right now. I know I am technically an immigrant to Taiwan, but immigration here is a very, very small percentage of the population. And, I mean, Taiwan is an ethno-state, just like Japan is, but Japan is kind of changing slightly now because of their insanely declining birth rates. The United States is probably ways off from that, but Taiwan might be on that path as well. So, I just had to get a little bit of defense in. I think people need to make sure that they're being that you're not just speaking from a place of feeling. We have to base this stuff in actual like evidence and things like that. And America is more welcoming than some people give it credit for, and obviously needs to be more welcoming, in my opinion, at the same time. And I think we can do both. And obviously, if people are demonizing people, they're assholes, and they should be treated as such. Anyway, so this is another reason why you're seeing declining birth rates. To get back more just in general to the economic issues that we kind of were touching on earlier as the reasons why many people were saying that. There's some more stark um, examples here. So this is the purchasing power of the dollar over the last century. So this is in this goes from 1913, where it was marked at 100. Okay, so the purchasing power in 1913 of the dollar was 100, and now it's it's very very low. It's almost like it's less than 5% of what it was back then. Now, obviously, inflation is going to happen, but you'll see an interesting trend that kind of happens, which is that the wealth seems to trickle upward, and the dollar, as the dollar kind of loses some of its value, it's more and more captured. Now, part of that is obviously because of taxes, which I think I have a slide on taxes here, but you can see this is wealth of U.S. families is yet to recover from the Great Recession. This obviously only goes through 2016, but I can tell you that through the coronavirus pandemic, average people got poorer. The rich did get richer, though, so you can always take solace in that. Again, you can see already here, which is just up to 2016. This isn't even with Donald Trump's tax cuts. You have, which are permanent, by the way, while the tax cuts for working class Americans have a 10-year sunset provision. So, a big friend of the working class. Yeah, you can see, obviously, upper income people just growing, middle income dropping, lower income dropping as well, which is it's already almost not in existence anymore. Again, this is another shocking statistic that everyone should know anyway, but the richest family is the only group to have gained wealth since the Great Recession. So you have all these first quadrants basically losing, and then you have the highest fifth and the top 5% gaining, obviously. So a very small percentage of people gaining more and more of the wealth. So very sad to see. I'll put this. There's a lot of charts in this one, but you can see this. This is another reason why the number of people with money in the United States, the average working people, have less and less money, is because this is actually not a good chart because it doesn't even go back far enough. But you can see back around 35, you have an explosion of unions around the progressive area, and obviously you slowly decline. We're down around 11, 12% right now, but it is potentially going back up, which is one good thing that we can take solace in, is that there's huge movements to unionize. So hopefully that continues. Shout out to the Staten Island plant that just got unionized, the Amazon. I forget if it's I don't even remember what they call them. Happy Factory or whatever they're called, fulfillment center. I don't remember if it's a fulfillment center or if it's some other type of warehouse, but shout outs to them. They got it. They've been fighting for that for a while. They still got to negotiate, so there's still much more on the plate. But they basically, I mean, they took on Amazon head on and defeated them. So shout outs to them. A number of Starbucks branches are unionizing. So hopefully this kind of strikes off a way and gets people excited. If you can organize your workplace, it's worthwhile. I'll tell you that much. You'll see a lot better wages. As we can see, as the wages drop off. This is another reason why we have big problems, is because you can see tax rates dropping off, and then also the growth. Now, there's a number of factors in this, but this actually is another one that doesn't go back far enough. This just goes back to 1957. This is the same one. Anyway, but you can see this is top marginal tax rate, 90% back in 57. 90%, slightly over 90% actually. And now it's 40, but you should also remember that it's actually not really even that, because a lot of times billionaires end up paying an effective tax rate of 0, and so do some of the biggest corporations like Google. What's his name that just bought Twitter? Elon Musk bought 9% or whatever of Twitter. Father's an old nice gym miner in apartheid South Africa. Real classy guy. He paid 0% in taxes for a few years. It's preposterous that poor people are paying more than the rich. Just preposterous. And then here you have, obviously this is correlated, but this is just like more data that I thought I'd throw in here. You have declining marriage and fertility rates, and I don't think they give the reason for this. Obviously, some of the declining ages, the later age of people getting married, is somewhat due to careers. It's also due to longer life expectancy. There's obviously a number of, like I said, number of factors that go into it. And also there's, declining religion. People don't necessarily think they have to get married. People have babies without getting married, so it's also, this is some of the fertility rate. This is for Taiwan. Actually, that's why that threw me off. I was like, there's no way the U.S. fertility rate is this low. We just talked about this, but yeah, this is in Taiwan. So yeah, Taiwan is obviously having this. Taiwan is a little bit ahead. Obviously, Taiwan is not an immigration country, so the immigration argument doesn't really apply. But it's facing similar things. And a huge issue both in the United States and in Taiwan that relates also to this, these problems with fertility, and also marriage for that matter, is not being able to buy a house. So when you can't purchase a house, a lot of people, they end up not wanting to get married, not wanting to have kids because they feel like they need that. So there needs to be a radical change in housing policy in both countries, where we tax second and third houses like it's nobody's business. And also create subsidized housing. A lot of this, again, there's so many policies, and I'm going to try to talk with Ari some more, but I thought I'd just give you guys a quick update. I figured I hadn't done one in a long time, so I've kind of rambled on long enough, but hopefully there's some few starters in here. If you're interested, always feel free to pop into these. This is I'm also wondering if you guys would prefer me to do these on YouTube. I know more people seem to have YouTube. I've just always done them on Twitch. But depending on what y'all would like, if you guys just, DM us on social media. You can go to all the social media. Take you to the website real quick. So you can find all our social media here on the website. You can also read Ari's angry recent posts. We've been posting a ton. You can see, obviously, we got tons of hot stuff all throughout here. Lots of recent news articles. But yeah, you can find most of our social media on here. Twitter, you can message us. Facebook. Obviously, you can follow Twitch. Our YouTube is also super easy to find. Just go to youtube.com. You head over to the FCP. Just type in the FreeChinaPost, and you'll see all our beautiful stuff. There's some interesting stuff I just posted recently, though. These, to be fair, you have to speak a little Mandarin to get. So find a Mandarin friend to translate for you, and then buy them dinner or something. But yeah, I put the other Worker Wednesdays and stuff, and I put all the, let's not do that. And then I put all the various other videos that we do, just depending on what, kind of what's out there, But all the podcasts are up there as well if you like to listen to stuff on YouTube. So subscribe to us over there. One last thing, if you can, subscribe to us on Google News. If you have Google News, if you have a Google account, you have Google News basically. So sign in your Google News and then just look for the Free China Post and follow us on there, and you'll get updates. That would mean a whole heck of a lot to us. Yeah, it would be good for us, y'all. But yeah, make sure to check out the site. The site's helps us out probably the most out of anything. You can also, of course, as always, as I always have to say, you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. I think I said Patreon. Okay. And now it's going to be like, oh, you need to, oh my gosh, sure, whatever. Just take my, y'all. You know what? We'll just go straight for it. I'm not even going to search for it. Patreon.com/FreeChinaPost. And there you'll get it right away. Bingo, bango, bongo. I don't want to leave the Congo. No. Okay. Easy. Discord. You can get all kinds of goodies from us. Okay. As little as $3 a month, you support us doing all we can. And the more income we have from this, the more time we can spend doing it. So we would appreciate it. I love y'all so much. I think we will be doing another one of these hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll be kind of doing more regular stuff. We're hoping to do more like streams and stuff. So show out for those, and I'll keep doing more. But yeah, anyway, love you. Talk to you soon. FCP最大